Obsession was a better portrayal of unexplored and relatable emotions than The Substance. These two movies, I don't know why, I hate horror, I hate all that crap. Both of these movies I was watching like between all my 10 fingers, but I still couldn't stop watching them. I watched them both like twice, but I found similarities in them, and I caught myself watching all of the interviews before and all the interviews after watching each movie, and I just became, I guess you could say, obsessed with both of these movies. Let me start with the fact that I think The Substance actually did a better job of showing obsession than the actual movie Obsession. Initially, Bear in Obsession, this is gonna get complicated, Bear was very obsessed with Nikki, there's no denying that, but it slowly turns into other emotions and plays more with the fact of what's happening to Nikki rather than the obsession of Bear. The Substance, on the other hand, shows a much deeper obsession of oneself. Elizabeth Sparkle is way more obsessed with her appearance and how she is viewed by the world, to the point of self-destruction and the point to death. Elizabeth Sparkle hated herself so much, she created this whole character of Sue and making her another person. She doesn't even realize she's killing herself until she realizes by Sue dying, she starts to die. And then in the very last moment of cowardliness, she tries to revive Sue in the same exact way Bear tries to reverse what he's done, where he tries to gag himself after he's taken the handful of his grandma's pill. Both Elizabeth Sparkle's and Bear's cowardliness really shows in the end. One parallel that I find extremely interesting in both of the movies is when both of the characters are begging to reverse the wish that they wish for. In both of these films, it's at a point where the character sees the damage their obsessions have caused. In The Substance, it's the self-obsession, and in Obsession, it is the freaky Nikki obsession. When Bear's calling the hotline on the back of the One Wish Willow, he is just desperate to not erase the wish, which is the sus part of it all, just to alter the wish. I find that really interesting because it shows he doesn't fully regret his decisions. And I'm like, that's okay. Your girlfriend is pooping and on herself in the house, while you're like, I just want to alter the wish. This parallels to the scene in The Substance where Elizabeth is all disheveled because of her not following the Substance's instructions, and she's trying to get more time with Sue than she is with herself, which doesn't make sense because they're both herself. She just hates the real version of herself. Elizabeth calls in a time of desperation, trying to reverse everything that's happened. She knew going into it that this was very real and was not some sort of magic. I do feel a little bit more for Bear than I do for Elizabeth, because Bear made the wish in a time of like spontaneity, desperation, let's be real. I think both of these films have the conclusion of be careful with what you wish for. Maybe they should collab. Another reason why I think Obsession was overall better than The Substance were the endings of both of them. The thing about Obsession was that the movie ended in a way that it left the viewer being like, what happens now? And then as soon as the credits rolled, I know everyone in the theater had this feeling of being uneasy, but also being so drawn to the movie. The sound design and the lighting of Obsession were just... I'm not like a film nerd at all. I have no credentials, but I was just obsessed with all of the small details because I watched every single interview of Obsession after I watched it the first time. The ending of Obsession was really well thought out. And I know that wasn't the original ending. Indy said that originally she actually herself, and that was the end of the movie, but she wanted to do one take where she actually doesn't and snaps out of it in the last moment. Because of this wish she had no say or control over, now she has to deal with all the repercussions. But in my opinion, I thought the ending of The Substance was too dramatized, and it kind of just distracted the viewer from the whole entire plot of the movie and what you're supposed to learn from it. I mean, the amount of gore and drama that was shown at the end of The Substance was a laughing point almost. Maybe they just had money to spend at the end with all that blood and all that gory, and it could have had a little more mystique, using big words. I'm pretty sure both of the movies were low budget. I'm pretty sure. My facts are not straight. Happy Pride. Anyways, what I think was so much better about Obsession was the chemistry of the actors. substance. You could tell during the scenes where Nikki's like snapping out of her not real self, all the actors, they genuinely look scared. Their reactions don't look like they're acting in any capacity, and I felt that. I also weirdly felt the brother-sister relationship between Bear and her, and all this friend group dynamic between all four of them is real in real life, and you also see that in the movie. I think it was great. Margaret Qualley and Demi Moore are amazing actresses, but in my opinion, I gravitate towards a new and unexplored topic, and when I don't know any of the actors. When I watch a movie with, let's say, Millie Bobby Brown, all I see is 11. Like, I just can't get that out of my head. That's what I love so much about Obsession, where they're all new and all amazing, and you could tell everyone was so passionate about the film. During all the behind-the-scenes videos I saw of The Substance, there was no warmth there. It felt like a very closed-off and cold set. I think the fact that Obsession was so low budget, and it was just all these young creative minds making a strong force of art, was great. I really loved it. I'm as equally obsessed with Obsession as everyone else. And I'm very obsessed with The Substance. I think about it all the time. When I look in the mirror and I see something that I don't like about myself, I immediately think of The Substance. It scared me into loving myself. I just think I could talk about both of these topics forever. And I know you guys probably can too. Those were my takes, very unorganized takes of Obsession and The Substance. I hope you guys enjoyed. I wish for you guys all to subscribe.